Hi, good evening. Am I audible? Harsha, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good evening. So let's wait for a couple of minutes, seconds, and then we'll begin.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, guys, I'd like to keep this interactive. So if you have any questions, please ask in the chat, and we'll keep it more engaging. The idea is to learn from each other and exchange ideas. And so my name is Gurveer. I'm the Associate Dean at SOIL, and a little bit of my background. I have about 20 years of work ex, mostly industry, and I worked in the BFSI sector. I worked with Standard Chartered, ICICI, and IDBI Bank. And prior to joining SOIL for 13 years, I was a business head with Kotak Securities. And now my passion for education has brought me to SOIL, and here I work as an associate dean. And I'm also a faculty here in the domain of strategy and finance. So I teach on fintech and I teach on banking. These are two critical subjects that in finance I teach. And then I teach on strategy, where I do foundations and strategy and basically corporate strategy. That's what I teach. So guys, before I start, the topic for today is innovation. So any one of you, any idea when I say innovation, what is it that comes to your mind? What is the first thing that comes to your mind? You can, put it in the chat. Anyone? So when I'm saying innovation, new idea. Okay, Priyam says new idea. Anyone else wants to take a go at it? Anything that comes to your mind, so it's not, I'm not talking of strategy, I'm not talking of management, I am just saying innovation. That's it. Anyone wants to take a go, on what this word innovation means? Breaking convention. Okay, Ruchi says breaking convention. At that thing, that's very interesting. Word Ruchi has used, breaking convention. Okay. Any idea? Any example you can give us, Ruchi, of breaking convention? Transformation, Pooja says. Okay, fantastic. Transformation. Any examples, Ruchi and Pooja, you can give of any organization that you know, that you have worked with or you are aware of, that have, got broken convention or done transformation. So Ankit says the plan to grow market share and profits through product and service innovation. Okay, so product and service innovation is what Ankit is talking, and he's talking of the ultimate goal, which is market share. I think which is what every company at the end wants to do. Very good. Paytm cashless transactions. Okay, fantastic. Yes, Paytm is not only been an innovative company, it's also been a pioneer in cashless transactions. Very good. Anything, Pooja, you would like to come up with an example for a company which has come up with transformation? As I share my screen, so I hope the screen is visible to all of you. Yeah. So what are we talking? We're going to talk today about innovation as a competitive advantage. Today everybody's talking of innovation, and many of you said today as, Singapore Airlines. Okay, Ankit, Singapore Airlines, Paytm. A lot of you have given examples of companies, of product innovation, service innovation. You've spoken of transformation, breaking convention. So today, every company today wants to innovate. So, innovation is the latest buzzword. Everybody wants to innovate. And many companies want to use innovation as a competitive advantage. They want to use it as a tool to help build a natural advantage against the competitors. And that is what we're going to talk about. Okay. Now, this concept of innovation looks very fancy. Any idea why companies don't do innovation? Many companies today, these are very rare companies, Singapore Airlines, Paytm, you can count in your tips, but most companies today don't innovate. I'm sure if you people are working in some company or the other, most companies don't innovate. Any idea why we don't innovate? Why is this? This concept of innovation is very relevant today. It is very interesting today, but most companies don't. It's a very paper which is mostly on pen and paper. High capital outlay. Okay, very good. So many a times innovation requires high capital outlay. So you need to devote significant amount of capital. Now, capital could be human capital or it could be financial capital. So that it requires significant amount. Fantastic. Anyone else? wants to take a go at it? That why don't companies lack of budget? Okay, again we're talking of okay. So a lot of already high market share, life cycle. Okay, so many many companies, like this is the example of Ruchi's talking of high market share. This is the example of Bajaj. If you remember, your parents or your grandparents had a Bajaj scooter, and Bajaj had a monopoly on the market in India in scooters, and they never innovated. There was one product called Bajaj Chetak, and that product ran for 60 years. And one fine day, Hero Honda came with a motorcycle called Splendor. And Splendor was a success, and suddenly the market changed. And Bajaj was forced to innovate. Okay, Priyam says chances of failure. Yes, we all everyone is afraid of failure, so people don't want to take. No new ideas as per market. Okay, Ankit, I don't agree with this. I think people are filled with ideas. The problem is they don't want to implement because of failure. So let me just share some ideas here that why we don't innovate. So first, this is the definition. The word innovation is derived from the Latin verb innovare, which means to renew. In essence, the word has retained its meaning up to today. So innovation means, in the management sense and strategy sense, to improve or to replace something. For example, to improve upon a process, replace a process, improve upon a product or a service. In context of companies, however, the term needs a clearer definition. A lot of people today are still not clear what the definition of innovation is. So if I just come up with a new process, I put something very, is that a innovation? So when does a process or a product become innovation? That clarity is still in doubt today. So, but in essence, it means to improve or replace something. Now, why don't we innovate? Firstly, I'll tell you very honestly, focus is on daily routine. If you've been like me, if you worked in sales, most of us in sales are so busy in our monthly targets that we are least concerned or we bothered or have the time for innovation. All we are interested in is first to achieve our monthly targets. And this is the reality of life. Your boss will be after you. Boss, what is the position of your target? If you come up with an innovative idea, he'll say, forget that. Target achievement kitna hua hai? This is the reality I have seen when I started my career. This is the reality I'm sure I must have done when I was a business head. And this is what my juniors would have felt. Your project manager in IT or any other domain is more interested in completing the project within the deadline. Why? Because your deliverables depend on it and your client wants it. So what is it? Your focus is on your daily routine. So people look at finance. The job of finance is to ensure costs are under control. You are innovating, which means capital outlay. Who will justify it? What if something goes wrong? So most of us are too busy in our daily routine to innovate. We have a 9-to-5 job. We just want to do it. There is no time left for us to think of innovation. What else did many of us? Someone said all of us are risk averse. Why? Because innovation takes time. Most companies today live in the present. Like I said, sales monthly target, quarterly target. Even the CEO of a company has to depend on quarterly results. Every quarter you publish results and every CEO is judged on those results. Basis the result, what is the increase in share market price? So every situation is transactional today. So most people today are risk averse. Innovation takes time. There is no guarantee that your innovation product will work. So many of us don't want to take a chance. We are very happy with our monthly targets, our daily 9-to-5 job. Innovation takes. Now imagine if Vijay Shekhar Sharma, who set up Paytm, he had not left his job and become an innovation or an entrepreneur, we won't have Paytm. That takes risk. That takes a person who can take some risk. What else? I said CEOs are more interested in operational requirements. CEOs are more interested. What is my firm's profit after tax? Has my share price and market capitalization gone up? That's it. I am happy. Is the board of directors happy with my performance? Is the promoter happy? I am happy. Innovation hota hai, well and good. Innovation nahi hota to nahi. There is impatience of top management. You will realize, I don't know whether many of you, if you go with ideas to your boss, they are not interested. Today's world is so transactional that people are impatient. Many a times your immediate supervisor will not support you. He will say, Arey, what is your target achievement? You're not focusing on your target pe focus karo. Others also, even we are very risk averse. Someone said risk averse. Why? Many of us have liabilities. No, now I have 2 kids. I have a home loan. I have a car loan. So I have liabilities. I don't want to take a risk of innovation. What if something goes wrong? Let me stick to my 9 to 5 job. Let me achieve my targets and let the world go around. So a lot of individuals, a lot of companies today are not innovating. That is the sad part. There are many companies today which are innovating and using innovation as a differentiator. Any one of you knows what is a USP? What is the full form of USP? Anyone? So if I say USP, what is a USP? Anyone? Yeah. So I think so USP is a unique selling proposition. Yes, that is a differentiator. So many companies today are looking at innovation. So they're saying, so why are companies innovating today? The first thing is innovation will grow your business. Business growth ultimately means increase in profit. So many CEOs today have realized that innovation can give us a growth in profits. If we keep innovating, we will keep surviving. And Apple is the best example. The legendary Steve Jobs realized that you need to innovate. So Apple came up first with a Mac. Then it came up with an earlier, if you remember, a Macintosh PC in the 80s. It came up with a MacBook. It came up with iPhone. It came up with a tablet. It came up with a watch. If you see, it is constantly innovating to grow its business. And within the business, it's coming up with new models. If you see iPhone 4 and iPhone 13, there is a huge difference. And an example of a company which did innovate, obviously, is BlackBerry. BlackBerry was the reverse of Apple. It didn't innovate, and today it is out of the market. It is bankrupt. So a lot of companies, a lot of the promoters have realized to grow your business, you need to innovate. Successful innovation allows you to add value to your business so that you can increase your profits. Today, why is iPhone with every model able to charge a premium? Because of innovation. There is new innovation technologies, there are new products involved, and there are new processes. So if they are able to innovate, they are able to increase your profit. Imagine if iPhone doesn't innovate, what happens? Within 2 days or 2 years, the product will plateau. Because after all, it's just a phone. It's a phone with a screen without a button. That's it. So innovation helps you grow your business. Innovation helps you stay ahead of competition. I'm sure many of you people here in this webinar would be trading in the share market and would have heard of Zerodha. Nitin Kamath set up Zerodha 10 years ago, and it's one of the rare startups without any funding, and they're profitable. And they have always stayed ahead of the business. How? By innovation. They started a business model. They said, we'll do brokerage of 10 rupees per transaction. At a time when brokerage houses were charging 100 times brokerage, they said 10 rupees, 20 rupees per transaction. That's it. Then they came up with a product platform. They said, we'll give you a platform, trade on your own. Then they came up with a product called University. If you are on Zerodha, you can learn how to trade on Zerodha. So they are constantly innovating on new products. And that is how they are growing. And if you realize, with globalization in a rapidly changing market, competing businesses more than ever need to innovate. And innovation thinking can help predict the market and keep up the customer needs. So every customer needs are changing, I mean, all of you are young millennials, your needs are changing. All of you want, what did you want? You want a Paytm to transfer money immediately. You want an Amazon to home deliver you goods. Maybe you want grofers to deliver vegetables to you. So you want everything to be done digitally. So innovation plays a big role. And Zerodha is staying ahead of the competition by innovation. The third is innovation helps you take advantage of new technologies. When I started my career, I used to go to a client to open a bank account. I used to go to him, physically sit with him. There used to be a 10-page form I used to fill up in front of him, get it signed, collect physical documents. Today it's all history. Kotak came up with a product called 811. What do? You just go to a client and you can digitally open an account. Fintech companies are an example of technology. Yes, fintech companies are an example. What do fintech companies do? They're taking advantage of technology. So today you want a digital loan, just go to a fintech technology, download the app, fill in the details, and they give a loan in 15 minutes. Either you'll get it or you'll not get it. And HDFC Bank still takes 4 to 5 working days to give you a personal loan. And a fintech can give you in 15 minutes. That's taking advantage of new. So companies today are looking to innovate. And the ones who are so-called visionary companies have realized the potential of innovation today are innovating. So it's important that we need to innovate, and the ones who don't will become dinosaurs. Now, this is a very interesting model. I'm sure all of you would have heard of a company called McKenzie. This is something called a McKenzie model, which was first published in HBR, Harvard Business Review. This gives you a landscape for innovation. Guys, if there are any questions as of now, I'll be more than happy to take it. So you can go ahead, ask questions. Maybe you want to take it later. But the idea being that you have any questions or suggestions, please feel free to share them. So this is a model that McKenzie uses. It's a matrix on how potential innovation fits in a company's existing model. Many people said that, oh, for innovation, we have to recruit new people, get new people. Aisa kuch nahi hai. Within the existing system, you could try and look at innovation if possible. Now, this has two models. If you look at the y-axis here, it talks about your business model, whether you need a new business model, or you can leverage your existing business model. The second it looks as is your technology competencies. So whether you can leverage existing. So the x-axis here is your existing technology or you require a new technology. So there are two parameters, the business model and technology. So they have mapped innovation on these two matrices. That's what McKenzie does. And when they say if you need a new business model, but you can leverage your existing technology, you're a disruptive. So you're an open source software, something what Linux was. You could go for video on demand, which is DVD rental services. You could go for ride sharing services. So you're already a taxi company. You could get into a ride sharing. So what you're doing, you have a business model and you are just leveraging an existing technology company. Suppose you require new technologies and a new business model. It is called as architectural. Means you need personalized medicine. This is a new model. Digital imaging from Polaroid and Kodak. This will require a new business model and new technology. So you need to invest in new business models and new technology. Internet for newspapers. Newspapers are delivered physically. So if it becomes a digital newspaper, it's a new business model and it requires a new technology, which is the internet or a digital technology. So this is called architectural. Similarly, if you're leveraging your existing business model and your existing technical competency, so whatever I have with me, the existing business model and the existing technology, I am just building on that. So that means BMW comes up with a new generation car. You would have heard new generation Creta. So, any existing model of car that you have, you come up with a new model on that. That is called as routine. So what are you doing in routine? It's a routine innovation. Same technology and same business model पे आपने उसका एक नया model निकाल दिया. What else? A new index fund. So I am a mutual fund. So metaverse. So how would you define metaverse? So metaverse, does it require a new business model? No, right? It is an example of innovation. Now, where would you put metaverse? Anyone? I'm sure. Have you heard of metaverse, which is the 3D domain that Facebook has come up with? So Pooja, where would you put metaverse in this? Is it a new business model? Is it a new technology? What is it? Anyone else wants to take a try on it? Where would metaverse come? Does it require a new business model for Facebook? No, I don't think it does. So metaverse, does it require? No. They can leverage their existing business model, right? And does it require new technological competencies? Yes, it does. Because it's a totally different vision. So a metaverse would come in something radical. That is what we've not discovered. Why you can leverage your existing business model. So Facebook is already in the digital world. They can leverage the digital world, but it would require a new technology. So the business model remains the same in the digital world, and they could require a new technology. So something like jet engines, fiber optic cables. So when you look at innovation, it is characterized in these four matrices. And this is how McKenzie does. So when McKenzie comes to you, you go to McKenzie and say, oh, I want to innovate. So they will judge on what you innovate, and they will put you in one of these four quadrants. And then they come up with suggestions on how they can build. So any questions on this innovation landscape model? Any thoughts, any suggestions, or any ideas on where a new company you can come up with? So this is a survey again. This is a McKenzie survey where they said what innovation leaders say they do right. So they were asked a lot of leaders across industries were asked, and they said that we look at these. We firstly, they said aspire, choose, discover, evolve. These are parameters given to them. So 55% out of them in aspire, 55% said that this is what we aspire. They were in the top quartile. So aspire. So the most popular one was aspire with 55% the top quartile, right? 44% in the top quartile. Next was discover, that they want to discover new technologies. 42% said mobilize, which means they want to mobilize existing resources and come up with something new. Right? 39% said scale. Scale means you already have and you want to use innovation to scale it up. So you already have maybe something like what ITC is doing. ITC is selling products through the distribution network, which is through offline, through through your CNF agents. Now they've come up with an online version called Chopal to scale up their products. So that is scale. What is accelerate? You need to accelerate the innovation. So these were parameters that they came up with when innovation leaders were asked to rate these 7 parameters. This is what they came up with. The most important, they said we aspire to be maybe something, like if you remember, I don't know if you will, but in 1962, when John F. Kennedy was the president of the United States, he said, in 10 years, we aspire to place a man on the moon. So that is called aspiration. So most technology and innovation leaders today are aspirational. That leads to innovation. So to be innovative, you need to be aspirational. You need to aspire for something. Elon Musk today is a visionary. He aspires. So he says, this is what I aspire to be, that in 5 years, I want that most of the world will be powered by renewable energy. So that's an aspiration, and that aspiration leads to innovation too. Right? Sorry. Now, this is how you build an innovation strategy process. If you want to build it into a competitive advantage, what are the first things? Say, what is our winning inspiration? So what is the innovation, or what is the inspiration? What is the purpose behind the innovation? That is the most important. Now, what is the purpose in case of Apple? In case of Apple, it is that their majority of products come from the iPhone. So they need to innovate because they need to grow. So what will happen if they don't come up with an iPhone? After every 1 year, people change their mobile phone. So if your new product doesn't come, most of you will buy a Samsung or some other product. So every year they have to come up with an innovative product because they need their customers are such that these customers every year change their mobile phone. So what are the winning inspiration? Innovate to gather customers, right? Where will we play? So which is the right playing field for Apple? Anyone? Geographies, product categories, segments, channels. If I were to innovate, what is the segment that I should look at? Where should Apple now play? Any suggestions? Any thoughts for you all? From you all? Anyone? Where do you think Apple should play? If it needs to innovate. Any ideas, any thoughts on where should Apple play to be successful, innovate? Which is okay. Let's look at things. The first thing we're talking about geographies. Which is the fastest growing mobile markets in the world? It is India and China. Now in India, what is the Apple market share? Anyone? What would be roughly the market share of Apple in India? I think it would be 2 or 3%. That's it, maximum. So if you want to innovate in India, how would you get into India as a geography? So if you want to enter into geography, you need to innovate with new product categories. So what has Apple done? Anyone knows what Apple did if it wanted to innovate in India? What has it done? And what is unique about Indians? Any idea? So what Apple did in India is that Apple realized in India that Indians want to own an Apple iPhone. They are not interested in owning the latest Apple, but they are okay in owning an iPhone. So what has Apple done? In India, Apple still has the model iPhone 8 available in India. Models which have been phased out in other parts of the world are still available in India. Why? Having best camera, brand building, yes, that is one part of it they've done. But most importantly, what they did, one, They came up with a product called iPhone SE. Do you know a product called iPhone SE that is manufactured in India? You know, it is a very cheap phone. It is a cheaper phone, which is there. Yes, because the Indians are price conscious. So they came up with an iPhone SE, which is manufactured in India. So they've been able to keep the price of that phone between 30 to 40,000, which is still aspirational and manageable for most Indians. Imagine an iPhone 9 or 10 would be 70, 80,000, which is beyond most people. But 30 to 40,000 is very easy. So what are the first thing they said? They realized that Indian want an iPhone. Latest technology नहीं है तो भी चलेगा. Latest technology नीचे Indians will buy, which is where the iPhone SE came in. What else did they innovate? They realized that Indians want a cheaper phone between 30 to 40,000. So again, how do they innovate? They started manufacturing in India to compete with OnePlus. Yes, as Ruchi said. So first thing we came up with geographies, which is the fastest growing market in the world, India. So Apple had to be in India and you had to innovate to be in India. What do you need? You need, what are the product categories that sell in India? Maximum phones which are sold are 30 to 40,000, which are the ones which Apple can target. 5 to 10,000 Apple cannot target. So it has to have a 30 to 40,000. Now, 30 to 40,000 means their existing models are not viable in India. So they did a survey and they found Indians are okay with Apple. Purana model bhi chalega. Now, how to manufacture 30 to 40? They started manufacturing in India. So this is how your innovation begins. And if you see, your innovation begins with your customer, which is your customer, and then it leads to your geography, it leads to your product, then it leads to your technology, it leads to your manufacturing, then it leads to your supply chain, and then comes your brand image and all. So your innovation actually is cascading down into your entire value chain. It's not just about technology. It is brand building. Yes, many of us have this notion that, it is about technology, brand building. No, we just saw the example of Apple, how they started with a geography like India. They started with market share, they started with geography, and then they slowly broke it down into the entire value chain. So then where will we play? In these. What else? How will we win? The unique way to win. What are the value proposition they came up with? What are the value proposition? They said, you can get an Apple iPhone at the price of a OnePlus or a 30,000 other, maybe a phone. So they're saying, we'll give you an iPhone for the price of a 30,000 phone, which is of a Chinese manufacturer. The second USP they worked on is, what do they work on? What is the other problem with Apple iPhone? Any one of you? खरीदने के बाद problem क्या आता है Apple iPhone का? Indians, what is the problem with Indians? We love to take our phone long. After sale service, yes. What are the problem? After sale service का problem क्या है? If you want to repair an iPhone, it is an Herculean task. India में iPhone repair, तो पहले आप जाओगे, he will say कि sir वो scratches लगे हैं, आपको warranty नहीं चलता. So they have tried to set up Apple centers in India for repair. So what value proposition they're trying to build in competitive advantages? Buy an iPhone manufactured in India at the cost of another brand, which may be a Samsung. Enjoy it, and we will ensure good after sales. So innovation, if you look, is not just about product. We have this traditional notion that innovation is naya product, that is part of innovation. Innovation incorporates many other things, and that is how you build your competitive advantage. After that, what capabilities must be in place? So what capabilities you need? You need a manufacturing plant in India. You need trained manpower. You need access to raw materials. Most of the raw materials for Apple iPhones are in China. That is why they manufacture in China, because your rare earth materials, rare earth minerals, a lot of electronics and all is available in China. So they manufacture in China. No, sir, I don't think Sandhya. So Sandhya asked a question that these days companies are excessively trying to innovate. Is it bad? I don't think it is bad. Because if you see today, your competitive advantage is going down. So the life of technology is going down. So the technology, if you see the life cycle of a technology, earlier it was 1 year or 2 years. Now it is a matter of few months. Also, I think, and also competitors have, customers have so much of choice available in the market that you need to constantly innovate. Look at Maruti. Every 3 months it is launching a new car because it needs to ensure its market share and all. So I don't think excessive innovation is bad. And abhi tak we've not reached that stage. I don't think there are very few Indian companies who have reached a stage of excessive innovation. Right? So coming back to our flow chart here, what sort of capabilities must be in place? You need access to raw materials, you need a manufacturing plant, you need to build on these capabilities. And then what management systems are required? So if you look at strategy in terms of innovation, technology plays an important part, but it just plays a very small part of it. You need to have your objectives, a strategic approach. You need to develop your focus areas. Your strategy needs to align with business goals. Because ultimately, all this example of Apple I gave you, it needs to translate into a market share and business strategy. Otherwise, innovation is flawed. You need to communicate and integrate your strategy into your value chain and working style. And you need to measure and adapt. So you need to have a measuring system. So Apple has done all of this. We need to have a measuring system that this innovation we've come up with, is it good or is it bad? So if you look at innovation, what I've tried to highlight in this brief session is that innovation is much more. It's not just about your technology. It is about your business. It is about staying ahead of competition. And in some part, it is taking advantage of technology. But if you see the model, it goes beyond that. Right? So guys, any questions that you have on this? I thought it's better that we keep it more informative and keep it more interactive. So I thought, so any questions, guys, on innovation, on strategy, I think I'll be more than happy to take it. So you can just put in the chat box and we could discuss them. Any Indian company, guys, that you can think of, which has worked on innovation, which is very seriously working on innovation? Any Indian company that you can give an example of? Any Indian company which is working boat? Okay, Harshal, can you explain how? Because my exposure to boat is very limited. My kids use the boat products, but so any idea how? Okay, so so boat is one company. Okay, so what Harshal is saying, the main USP of it to sell Indian on account of, okay. Any other company? What capabilities a leader need to be in? I think so. If you're looking at as a leader to be innovative, I think the most important thing is that you need to be a risk taker. You need to be a risk taker. If all companies which have, whether you take it Elon Musk or Steve Jobs, or even if you look at visionaries who've been here, even if you look, they have been risk takers. So the first thing you need to take is be a risk taker. You can't follow the conventional norm and be innovative. So risk taker is the first. Second, you need to have a long-term horizon approach. I think that is the problem in where most companies today. We are very transactional, as I said, and we are very short-term. So you need to think for the long term, because innovation takes time. It may happen that the first prototype may fail. It may happen that your first product may not be successful. It may happen that the first time you launch, it may not, the sales may take some time to pick up. And at the adoption. So you need to have a long-term vision. You need to be a risk taker. You need to, and I think the fourth and the most important is you need to be able to have confidence in your team and delegate responsibilities. If you look at Tata's, if you look at any of these companies, it's not that Steve Jobs has innovated. Sara Kaam iPhone, he's not developed, but he was a visionary. He had a long-term vision and he had confidence in his team. That's very important. If you go to Mahindra, if any of us work for Mahindra and Mahindra, Anand Mahindra has a very long-term vision. So he has a 5 to 6 year vision for any product. And at the end, the 5th year is when he evaluates whether we should go ahead with the product or not, or we should call it off. So even the team has confidence. So you need to have confidence in your team. That's what I would say are the capabilities of a leader needed to be in order to innovate. Swiggy, yes, Swiggy is a good example of innovation. What about Zomato? They have come up with this 10-minute delivery. Do you think this is innovation? Do you think it's good, it's positive or negative? First, do you think it's an innovative strategy or not? 10 minutes delivery, it is. Why do you think 10 minutes delivery is innovation? 10 minutes food delivery. Why? That's what I'm interested. 10 minutes food delivery, 10 minutes grocery. Do you think it is actually an innovative product? Does it give you a competitive advantage? Okay. And suppose now everybody is saying we will give it 10 minutes. Then what happens? Blink it, or everybody will say we'll give you delivery in 10 minutes. Then, okay, 15 to 20 minutes. Okay. Okay, let me ask you a question, Ruchi. What if in 10 minutes ki jagah you get the food in 20-25 minutes? Are you okay with that also? Are you okay as a customer if you get your food maybe okay because of your location? Anyone else who says that he wants his food only in 10 to 20 minutes? Anyone? Anyone who says, or anyone who says this 10 minutes food delivery is not a good idea? Anybody? So everyone thinks it's a good idea. Okay, Priyam says no. Priyam says why? Why is not a good idea? Anyone? I'll tell you my viewpoint. I don't think it's a good idea. One, because there is no urgency. Indian food takes more than 10 minutes to cook. Yes. It is very useful for working ladies. Oh, okay. So Ruchi says it's very useful for, it puts extra burden. Yes. I think Indian food cannot be cooked in 10 minutes. So if it is fresh, it takes 20 to 25 minutes. Second, I think, there is no need for 10 minutes. The world will not come to an end if I get food in 20 minutes. It's not a critical product. And it puts extra burden on delivery partners. The poor gentle, they are already under so much of tension. Maybe he could have come up with a better innovation. So now I'm talking of Ruchi, Zomato and food delivery. So there you have cooked food. So again, these type of things are there. Many times you have innovation. And these innovations, and they call it as a disruptive innovation. They feel that they are disrupting the industry, but many of us feel that, so this is the problem with innovation. Many a times people like it, people may not like it. So Maggie only takes 5 minutes. How Indian food will be cooked in 10 minutes? I agree. In India, even Maggie takes more than 5 minutes. If in my hostel, I used to cook it on my heat, heater hota tha, uspe banate the, and it should take more than 5 minutes. Any other innovation idea? Any company which is not innovated but is still surviving? Anyone? Let's look at the reverse now. Let me ask you, any company which is not innovate but is still surviving? Any company like this? You guys know? Band-Aid. Okay, very interesting. Band-Aid. Dettol. Okay. But Dettol has also come up with certain innovations, right? They came up with those hand sanitizers and all. Okay, but I'll take it. Band-Aid, I accept. Band-Aid has been products, but not company. Okay. Any other idea? Have you heard of a company called MDH? MDH. Have you heard of MDH Masala? They are, same MDH has been selling the same masala for 50 years. Wahi degi mirich hoti hai. Earlier, the old man, the poor gentleman died, but the same cheese बेचते. And they have a monopoly in the spices market in India. So they are a reverse. Innovation ki zarurat hi nahi hai. That's a very rare exception. In most cases today, they need to innovate. And let me tell you, MDH is also in talks with some MNC companies to sell their brand now for 15,000 crores. So there are very few companies which can survive without innovation. Any other questions you gentlemen, you people have on innovation? Or any suggestions or any thoughts? Great. Harsha, if there are no more questions, do we call it a day? What is the work of an R&D department? Okay, so there are two questions here. There is a difference between R&D is your research and development. That's a separate thing, you know. So innovation is terms of strategy is what we're talking about is determining the direction, coming up with new products. R&D's job is to execute in terms. So when Apple thought of a tablet because they thought that people will need a tablet because they'll be watching, you know, a laptop is too heavy to carry and an iPhone is too small to look at. So they will need something which is a mix of both. So that is the strategy. The job of the R&D is to develop the product. Innovation in education, yes, Byju's. How can we build these innovations? So we're talking about innovation from the point of view of the company or from so how do you build these innovation capabilities is obviously one. A lot of companies today are investing heavily in. So there are various ways to do it. One, a lot of companies are in M&A. You know what is M&A? A lot of companies are forming alliances. You know? There's a lot of alliance formation happening. You see in banks, a lot of banks are collaborating with fintech. So M&A / collaborations is one way to build innovative technologies, right? So what has Kotak Bank done? It has tied up with a lot of fintechs which have good access to technology. So collaborations and M&A is one way to develop innovation, right? Lot of companies have in-house incubation centers, you know, so where you are in-house developing capabilities. You know, you're looking at in-house capability development, in-house incubation. Lot of companies are coming up with rewarding. So they are developing, rewards. So if you look at rewarding mechanisms, so if you look at the Tatas, every year they have an innovation award. So they have rewards where they give monetary cash prizes up to 10 lakh rupees to a lot of their individuals who have come up with new innovations and how those innovations have benefited people. So there are a lot of ways to do. You can look at M&As, you can look at alliances or collaboration for external sources for innovation capabilities. Many companies are coming up with in-house incubation. Many companies are building rewarding mechanisms. So, you know, that is, and I think most importantly, most companies are building an open culture to reward. You know, they have an open culture to reward innovation. I think that's most important. So I think these are some ways companies are building innovation. Any other questions? Else, Harsha, do we call it a day? I think it's been a good, exciting time I had. And I look forward to, if you have any questions, you can through the Soil team, or you can maybe message me on LinkedIn or anywhere. And I'd like to have, love to interact and exchange views since we had a limited time here. And I think I'd love to take forward this discussion forward on how best we can look up. So if you are interested in innovation, there's a very interesting book called The Medici Effect. The book is called as Medici Effect. It's a book by a gentleman called Franz Johansson. Okay, he's a Harvard gentleman, and he's written this book, The Medici Effect. So, and so to read, it gives a lot about the innovation and all, right? Thank you, guys. Thank you, and all the best, and look forward to interacting with you again.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks a lot. Take care.